foundation inspection. We're standing at the right rear elevation. We're going to be looking at the exterior structure, see what we can find. A little bit of damage to the caulking here, it's weather damage. It's going to let water in, so that needs to be sealed. Well, we have some water damage to the trim around the door here. This is actually caused because somebody's tried to seal this gap. See this, it's been inserted. What it does, this is intended, this gap. That's why it's cut back like this. And what's actually happening is water's getting into the concrete and weeping up through the wood. So remove that, trim it back, clean it, and it'll stop it rotting. We're now at the right side elevation. Now the grade along here has dropped off. You can see that there's a little bit of erosion. The erosion is caused by the lack of gutters. So we want to see gutters added and we want to see the grade rebuilt here. It's all to be sealed around here. You can see that there's a gap. It's going to get water in there. Not a good idea. Now we've got some rot at this trim here. You can see it's starting to move. This is caused by water. You can see the water's getting in here and here, and that needs to be repainted and caulked. This window, you can see the caulking is failing here and here, and we've got some holes in the water here and here. This has a drip edge to it, which is good. So fill up these gaps, okay, and re-caulk the windows. Go for every window around the house because this caulking is getting old and it's going hard. So this is the right elevation we've looked at. We're looking at the front now. Again, we've got problems here. You can see these gaps here, missing caulking here and here. All of that's going to allow water in. You've really got to get that fixed because it'll make the walls damp. You won't know it, but it'll be damp enough to cause mold. More problems with the windows, missing caulk. Now, here's a steel lintel and it should have a weep poles over the top of it. Doesn't. Easy to add, but put them in. We're at the portico. Still concentrating on the walls and exterior. Again, missing caulking, so it's going to be leaking, no weep holes. But we're now around 2/3 of the building, we've found no cracks, so That's all good news. Here we are at the left elevation. That's all looking good. It's grading inspection. You can see we've got erosion here, and you can see this water, this sprinkler head, how it's coming out the ground. Well, originally that was deep in the ground, like this one is over here, and it's been eroded, and that's because we haven't got gutters. The grading overall is okay, it just needs to come up a bit further onto the grade beam. We don't want to see it we want to see 4 to 6 inches between the brick line and the grade beam. Here the grade slopes away nicely. And then we go to the right elevation. Again, we've got good amount of slope away from the building, but as I spoke of it earlier, this needs to be regraded. Again, sprinkler head showing up where it shouldn't. And then we'll look at the rear yard, see how we are here. Grading in the rear yard is good, slopes away. So the roof inspection, what we're starting with is the soffits. Here we have a soffit ventilator all the way down right hand elevation. None of them are loose, and they don't appear to have paint blocking them. None at the front elevation, which is normal. And now we're at the left elevation again. We've got soffit pits. Now let's get up at roof level and see what we can find with the roof. I'm at the front elevation and we have wind lift. Wind lift is where the wind gets under the shingles and lifts them, and then you get these distinctive lines up it, and you can often see this area here where the shingles have lifted, and we can get above it. Sometimes you can see it better often seen at a distance. Other than that, there's no sign at this elevation of any impact damage, hail, etc, etc. That tree's close, but it doesn't look as if it's ever got close enough to damage the actual shingles themselves. But here we can actually see the results of wind lift. It's running a line down here in the video. Let's see if we can take a photograph of it. It's very difficult to photograph, because wind lift that is, because you get the interference effect of the lines, and the resolution of the camera conspire to hide it, whereas when you look at it with the naked eye you can see. We have wind lift at the right elevation. The shingles, you can see, are quite loose. They shouldn't be quite as loose as that. Up in this area up here we can see quite a lot of it, and I'm going to have to come down off the ladder. The wind is getting too strong and it's beginning to take my balance. We have more wind lift at the rear elevation of the property. You can see where the shingles are lifting. This area here is particularly affected. You can see the chimney here. We can see that the chimney has some deteriorating paintwork as a chimney cricket, which is good. But down at the base of the chimney, there's bit of rot. Get up close on that and have a look. Now I'm up close to the rear elevation. I can see a lot of wind lift. There's also a couple of marks indicative of hail. There's a mark down here. Let's go down closer to it. See that mark in the middle of the frame? That's symptomatic of hail damage. We've got another mark up here. A little bit of hail has hit here, but not any great quantities. Up here, you can see it. There's a hail mark there. Another one there, but very few in total. Let's see, in sight of it at the moment I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 or 8, 9. Yeah, there's some house damage and wind lift at the rear elevation. We're at the left elevation. We're looking at the window trim. You can see here how we've got a real big gap here. Now that's allowing lots of water to get into the window system around here. I expect to find the wall damp when I get the other side. I'll use a moisture meter, but I do expect to find it damp. Fall down our stair. You can see here we don't have a weather seal. Weather seals are required on attic stairs in garages because we want to seal the garage from the rest of the house, like we've got a weather seal here. There's another component here which is important, which is the door. It's a fire door. In addition to that, we've got, and we should have but we don't, south closing hinges or a south closing mechanism. This door's got a damage to it that can allow fire to penetrate into the building, and so that's not good, not from the decorative point of view but from the fire prevention point of view. We're in the attic now. Now what I noticed outside, and I point out in here, along here we have 3 vents, and we have 3 vents along the other side. They are going to short circuit. Each one of these vents is about a square foot, and that gives us 3 square foot of ventilation on one side. Here we've got another 3 square foot, that's 6. Now this is an 1800 square foot attic, therefore we only need 3 vents, not 6. These vents, if they were to be closed off, would improve ventilation by ensuring the ventilation comes directly from the soffits. There's a soffit baffle there, so the soffit's the other side, and that allows air to flow up the attic and out the ventilator. So the next time a roof is put on, then's the time to close off those additional vents. Just go with 3. You'd leave this one in, but take these 3 out and you'll be good to go. We have gas pipes in contact with Romex cables. They should be separated. We don't want that situation. It can lead to fires in the future. Just a safety precaution. Making our way through the attic here. and we don't have sediment traps on the gas lines. Water heater doesn't have a a safety pan. We're missing a sediment trap on the controller, the gas line. This is a temperature pressure relief valve. It operates, which is good. And up here is the vent hood. Now the vent hood, you can see it's moving. That's dangerous. That vent hood, you can see I can move it. Well, the wind can move that from up top. So this vent hood has to be secured correctly. There's two reasons you want to do it. First thing is, the real reason, you don't want to die from carbon monoxide poisoning, which you can do, because it's loose and carbon monoxide can get out into the garage and it will kill you. The other thing you don't want to do is you don't want to negate the warranty. And the warranty on these water tanks is dependent on this assembly being done correctly, and it's not. It's done quite wrongly. Well, we looked on the exterior of the building to see if we could find any cracks, and we couldn't. Suggests that the foundation is stable. What we're doing now is we're just going to quickly look around the sheetrocks on the exterior walls, see whether or not we've got any cracks appearing. Frankly, I don't expect to see any, because I found nothing on the outside, but we look nonetheless. We have some nail pops in this area here. It's alright, sweetie, calm down. And that's just common movement and settlement. Nothing to really be too concerned about. It's cosmetic. It's unsightly. There's a good girl. We have a filter up here. That looks in good condition. Okay, we're going now look in the master. Okay, what we're looking for is cracks in the ceilings indicate movement. And we're looking okay here. Into the master bath. Okay, so my conclusion, without even measuring it, we will be measuring it in a moment, is that we have a good and stable foundation here. We're doing measurements on it, and that gives us a reference in time, having done the measurements today. If there's any slight movement or changes in the future, we can actually determine how much it's changed and over what period. Garage door, just going to check its operation. When it's closing, we've got trip sensors, and they work. And we're looking for damage. Damage often occurs in this area if it could occur anywhere, and there's none. The compressor needs to be levelled. We have some damage to the fins at the left side, and there's a lot of rust on it. I can tell you exactly where that's coming from. The runoff from the roof is directly hitting the unit, the air conditioning unit, and that's what's causing that to rust. Well, you need gutters actually, but a diverter would be better at least, just to keep the water off of this unit. We've got some dings on it here, which look like they could be hail. The insulation on the cold pipe is deteriorating. I recommend that's replaced. Here we are at the outlet. We're measuring the temperature. We're trying to get the minimum. Okay, minimum is 47, so the air is cooling, and this is the return, and it's 66. That's a good drop. Let's go and look at the master bedroom, see whether or not we've got a same amount of drop in there. Here we are at the master. Let's get the minimum, and we got 45 here, so that's working excellently. You see on our there 45. It's the lower box is the important one. Can't actually see it very easily, but I can. We're at the heater. Find in terms of, there we go, we've got blue. Can't take these things apart. They're it's not allowed. There we go. So it's running on the furnace. Water meter is here under the cover. Lift it up. You can see it's down there. There's an isolation valve. Now sometimes there's also an isolation valve up in the front yard. There's not one that's apparent, but it could be under the landscaping. Also in this area here, it's going to be the clear outs. Again, they're not apparent. They're probably under the landscaping. See if I can find them here. Yes, here we are. Here's one clear out, and here's two clear outs. Okay, so this clear out here goes under the house. This one here goes down to the city drain. Condition of the faucet and the drain lines. The drain line here, U-bend, U-P-trap, it's in good condition. All on here, P-trap's in good condition. Then we've got the tub here. Turn it on. Both the faucets are in good condition. There's the shower. And we've got everything running, and we can still take a shower. So we've got good functional flow. Let's just find out and make sure we've got hot water. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't. Hot water. Yeah, hot water. Hot water. And finally, here, turn it over. Yep, we've got hot water. Now we're going to look at the guest toilet. into the guest toilet. Here we go. Turn these on. Good. Turn it on the hot. We've got simple flow. Bowl's not damaged. We've got hot water. And here, you see we've got a connection here. It's an additional connection. That comes from the air conditioning unit in the attic. Now, this is quite accepted in Texas. I don't accept it. I'll tell you why. In the conditions that we have here, at some point that P-trap, if the heating is not running, can dry out. And if it dries out, sewer gases can then come up the line and travel up this pipe up to the furnace. So you turn on the furnace, you have an explosion with methane gases. So I would recommend that's changed. Now we've got drainage there. We're running the jets for the tub. Now the tub should have a GFCI, normally found in and around either the toilet or in the closet somewhere. Here it is here. Trip that. Now it tripped. Could you hear it's gone off? No tub running. And we put it back on again and that will restart it. So here we are, all zone 1. It's the flower beds at the front elevation. That's the front right. Zone 2, Zone 1 was the front here, Zone 2 was this bed here, this is Zone 3 coming up now. I wasn't quick enough to get round. I suddenly noticed we got water here and I had not seen it. Okay, this is Zone 3. Okay, Zone 4 is the centre of the mid area of the front yard. And the sprinklers are up. We have a differential settlement crack starting here. It's running up the wall, almost certainly to do with the very dry conditions we've experienced over the last few months.